and recording to the cloud. And Carla, it looks like it's just about that time, so the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Russ. And hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Carla Lane. I'm the Vice President of the Higher Education Sector for FGDLA. I want to welcome you today. I'm here alongside with Russ Colbert, who is the FGDLA Vice President of the Corporate Sector. FGDLA is a nonprofit professional association. We were formed to promote the development of the application of distance learning in the federal government. We're actively fostering collaboration and understanding among those involved in leveraging technology and instructional media in support of the education and the training needs of the federal government. Our membership is derived primarily from individuals employed by the agencies within the federal government. We invite you to join with us in this exciting field. You'll find membership forms at fgdla.us. I want to switch to the next slide, please. For upcoming events on September 24th, which is just next week, we've got a brand new offering for you. It's a panel presentation prior to the DevLearn conference that is a preview, or that the name of it is a preview to cracking the code, measuring and demonstrating the ROI of government training programs. Rob Porter is chairing that along with David Kelly, who is chairman of the Learning Guild. Dr. Erica Jacobs and Sandy Wagner, who are FGDLA board members, will also join in on that panel. On October 16th, Dr. Jenny Varicchio will present a 2-hour workshop on gamified learning design using generative AI. This is part 2 in the series, and the session will carry FGDLA certification. On November 13th, DAU's Brenda Sade-Lasik will identify instructional strategies for great webinars for producers and program managers. The FGDLA Awards will be presented on December 4th. The entry window on that has closed, but if you missed it, you've got about 2 more days, according to Dr. Jolly Holden, that you could go ahead and get into late entry. So you can find entry forms at fgdla.us. So we hope you'll join us for all of these exciting events. We try to keep things moving and interesting. We're planning some things for next year as well, where I think I'm up to April. So if you've got some ideas for sessions for next year, let me know. We are so proud that Zoom and Moodle have become such valued sponsors for FGDLA. They've been instrumental in helping us present the webinars. We recently announced that COSO Cloud has become a new sponsor for FGDLA. COSO Cloud is a class technologies company and a leading provider of secure, customized e-learning solutions for the government and the enterprise sectors. Joining forces with COSO Cloud enables FGDLA to continue to offer comprehensive and future-focused learning solutions to meet the training needs of the federal government. Russ, you usually work with our great sponsors. You got anything you'd like to say about them today?
Well, Carla, you're a hard act to follow, so I echo your comments completely. Working with Zoom and Moodle and Coastal Cloud is a privilege, and it's fun for me. We, as an organization, we thank our sponsors so much for their work, dedication, and support.
Yeah, we do. We're really honored to have them as sponsors. You know, it's really important to organizations to be able to do that. You know, we don't charge for membership or anything else. So our sponsors are the ones who actually provide the ability for us to keep moving forward. So today's webinar will introduce you to the masterful use of Microsoft Copilot to create PowerPoint slide presentations. Our presenter is Ellen Finkelstein. She will demonstrate how to use Copilot, Designer, and ChatGPT to jumpstart a presentation and get great first results. Ellen specializes in training speakers to convert death by PowerPoint to life with PowerPoint. So Ellen has conducted training for Citrix, Brainshark, Disney, and many others, including Microsoft. And along the way, Microsoft was so amazed and loved what she did that they have named her a most valuable professional, an MVP. She holds this honor as one of only 18 Microsoft MVPs in the United States. Ellen, it's a genuine pleasure to have you with us today. I've seen so many of your seminars and have always learned so much from them. So I'm looking forward to today. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I just want to start by asking those of you to put in the chat first of all, what you think your level of PowerPoint is, beginner, intermediate, expert, I suppose you could say, or, super person. And then also if you've used Copilot before. So I'm interested to hear that information. If I look on the side, it's because I'm looking at my other monitor. It's not like I'm trying to avoid you here, but I am trying to see it over there. So intermediate, use Copilot extensively. Copilot not available yet. Okay, good. So feel free to ask questions. I'm not going to go into anything really, really deep about Copilot. Maybe if you've been using Copilot over a period of time, you've noticed that it's changed. Microsoft is working really intensely on Copilots for everything, but specifically for PowerPoint because it's hard. It's like Copilot for Word is like ChatGPT pretty much. It's not such a big deal, but trying to get the visual part of it is a whole new thing. And so they've been doing a lot of work, and you probably noticed changes in it. And I've not only noticed improvements, but things they've taken out. So who knows? I wanted to make it clear the strengths and weaknesses of the three pieces that you would probably use to create a presentation with AI. Copilot, I think its best use is for creating a presentation from scratch or from a document that has to be on SharePoint. As far as I understand, it can't be on your own computer, but you can upload it and use it that way. And I'll show you an example. And Designer, which has been around for a very long time and also uses AI, it's been around for a few years already, is best for laying out slides and adding images. And ChatGPT, which I'm sure you all know as well, is really best for working with the content. So I'll show you an example of taking text that I put into ChatGPT, and if you want, I could, go into ChatGPT too, and just, but that won't be anything new to you, give me, 5 points about something, and then just copying and pasting that into Copilot and watching it create something, because you need to give Copilot, like ChatGPT, you need to give it a lot of information if you want to get the result that you want. So accessing Copilot is pretty easy. I'll show you, I'll be going into normal view and show you, but home tab, the AI group, and then Copilot, and it opens up this pane on the right. So you'll see that. And then a fairly new thing is this an icon at the upper left corner of the slide, and it basically shows you what the pane shows you, but they are experimenting with the interface, and you may or may not see that. So when you create a file from scratch, a PowerPoint presentation, or from a document, when you open a new presentation file, you'll see this in the Copilot pane. I'll show you that in a minute. In fact, let's start doing that now, because I also want to talk to you about using Designer and using ChatGPT and kind of putting them all together. But let's start with this. So I'm going to start a new presentation here. And so here's the icon on the upper left corner, and here is the, and this, by the way, is just a private add-in, so it's not something that's part of PowerPoint. So you can create a presentation about that from scratch, from file, or add a slide about. So I thought it would be fun. I'm probably getting myself into trouble here, but to ask you, the audience, to come up with a topic that, let's say, 5 points about something that wouldn't be too technical or detailed. So go ahead and suggest a topic that I could use. I'm looking in the chat here.
Customer service.
Well, so I need something a lot more specific than that. So, 5 points about how to improve customer service in such a kind of environment, or something like that, or or
government service employees need a pay raise.
5 steps to making a sale. I think that could work. Okay,
yes.
so let's try that. Okay, so create a presentation about 5 steps to making. You want it to be a corporate sale? Let's do a corporate, a sale to a corporation as opposed to one-on-one kind of thing. So I think that'll be a little bit more specific. So it's not as fast as ChatGPT, but I want you to understand that it's not only creating the content, but it's creating images and it's structuring the whole thing, into a PowerPoint presentation. So it does take a little bit longer. Every once in a while, it just has a big fail. I was saying earlier before we got on that yesterday, I asked it to make 2 presentations shorter and it added slides each time. So it does suggest Designer, for things like that. But here we have the presentation. And I'll just go through it in reading view just to
Can
kind
we
of
just
quick.
stop for a minute and discuss
Yes,
how remarkable it is that this thing took one very, very short sentence and turned it into how many slides? Looks like about 10 with
seven
pictures
slides.
and
Mhm.
copy to go along with it. I mean,
Well,
it's,
let's see if it's as good as we think it is. Okay.
well, I'm just impressed that it comes up
It
with
is.
anything.
It
Who
is
cares if
amazing.
it's right at this point, I mean, we know it hallucinates, so that's okay.
Right. So step 1, understand the corporation's needs. Okay, so research the corporation. And by the way, an example is if you've been using Copilot for a while, you'll know that 6 months ago, this would have been bullet points. And those of us who are, PowerPoint MVPs, and we kind of get to meet with Microsoft once a month, and we said, nope, get rid of the bullet points. And they have, it's much nicer now. So research the corporation, identify goals and challenges, tailor your solution. So that's step 1. Okay. Step 2, and they have a little animation in there. Did you notice that? For the text. I don't like animation on text, but anyway, step 2, build relationships with key decision makers. So you network with them, you build trust and credibility. I'm not sure that this picture is a good example of networking with decision makers. It kind of looks like, I don't know what it looks like, but anyway, it's sort of funny. But
Cocktail party at a conference.
yeah, something like that, step 3. Okay, step 3, demonstrate the value of your product or services. So, the highlight benefits and features, understand the corporation's needs. I think this is repetitious. So for example, we could look at that, show how your solution can help. That is a very weird picture. Okay. So, and step 4, just objections and concerns. So, some specific things, and close the deal and follow up, negotiate, follow up. And so, and conclusion, making a sale requires a strategic, so on like that. So yeah, it's pretty good. I'm being a little snarky about it, in the sense that I think, this is,
At the very least, it's a great start. There's 2
it's
questions.
a great start.
Yeah.
I would
and
say show that you understand the corporation's needs, would be a thing. Okay, yes, questions.
Okay, question. So from where does Copilot find and select the images for the presentation? Do I need to provide a source folder for it?
No, not at all. So it's basically, it's using 2 sources, from what I understand. One is obvious. So, if you go into insert and pictures and then stock images, so you might sometimes see some of those pictures, these are the photographs here and so on like that. You might see some of those pictures. And then the other place is they have which is where they get these from. They have a contract with something, some big company that provides images.
Like Getty Images?
Yeah, get something like that, one of those.
Gives you copyright clearance to use it? Is that what?
Yes. Well, so I will say something about that I think is not obvious, that you can use these in the presentation, but you can't take a picture like this and then put it on your own blog. Okay, so you can use it within PowerPoint. You could make a video out of that, you can put it online, you can do anything you want with it, both personal and commercial use, but you can't just pull it out of PowerPoint and use it as like, your own private stock image, stock photo.
So it's a one-time use copyright clearance to use only within PowerPoint.
I wouldn't say one time, you could use this presentation over and over
I
again.
mean, you
and-
could use the presentation, but I mean, when I say one time, it's a one-trick pony. You can only use it
Yeah, one place
within PowerPoint.
within PowerPoint. I suppose you could also bring it into Word because it's it's not unique to PowerPoint, this contract. And I don't know the very detailed details of their contract, but I'm pretty sure that you could put it into other Microsoft Office things as well. But
Okay, there's some
right.
other questions about copyright, but why don't we save those until later? But there's
Okay.
one here about, will Copilot create notes for the narration?
Oh, yes, they're right here. You see at the bottom? Can I, let me,
It's small, so no, I can't.
well, I'm making that pane bigger
Yeah,
here,
okay.
up at
All
the
right, so
bottom
yes,
here.
so there it
Yes,
is.
so
Okay,
they do
great.
that, which is amazing. So, each one of these has its own notes. There's not that much there. So one of the things, I'm not sure this is gonna work, so this is gonna be also like a little iffy here, but so remove some of the text on this slide and put it in the speaker notes. Maybe I should say the slide number.
Okay, so what you're doing is modifying what you told it originally. And so it should take these new notes that you're giving it and insert it into the presentation. Is that right?
No, I'm asking it to take some of, but it told me it can't do that. I just want you to.
It can't take
it's
anything
okay.
out.
But it's so weird to me because I've had them do this before in the past, but it's not anyway. So yeah, what I wanted it to do was put less on the slide and put more in here, that kind of thing. I'm going to try one more time. Yeah.
So if you told it in the instructions, don't use full sentences on slides.
Yeah, I could try that. Let's
I just
see.
wanted to wait for you to show something where it shows how it changes.
Yeah, we can start from scratch. So what was it? Oh, here it was. Okay. New presentation,
Okay.
Copilot. Create a presentation about please minimize. What did you just say? What was your suggestion? To ask it to do what?
Just to ask it to change something, which could be, instead of using full sentences on slide,
Oh, okay.
use short phrases. Because generally I would not recommend
Right.
using full sentences on slides. The idea of a slide is to telegraph information.
Right.
And
Minimize
sentences
the
don't
text
necessarily
on
do
the
that.
slides and put most of the content in the notes pane. Oh, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Kristen's made a remark. She says, before I start asking Copilot to do anything, I updated the color theme to my company colors. I guess you could also add your logo and
You can do that afterwards, though. You can definitely edit anything. In fact, I will tell you that part of the reason that they said they used the word co-pilot is to make it really, really clear that you're still in control, like you are the pilot. So
didn't know that. Interesting.
yeah, they want you to really feel comfortable that you can make any changes as you want. I
Yeah,
think it ignored it. I don't think it did.
recorded.
Yeah, it just ignored it. It didn't. But yeah, so you can go into into design, and I could do this or something like that, which would bring in my a custom theme and bring my colors in. And you can always go into view and slide master and put in your colors here if you want, all of that. And I was also showing you before, so I could go in now, and I could, make some presentation-wide changes on the slide master. So, I might want to change the color of this font of, this to make it, I don't know, lighter, probably not, but whatever,
So is
just.
Copilot choosing the master?
Yeah, it's oh, so that's a good question. It actually doesn't change your master. So, and that's part of why they don't want to, they don't change it. So when you go, if I close this and I undo,
So if you start out with your own corporate template and you have that up on
yes,
the
it
screen,
shouldn't change it. It
and
shouldn't
then you
change
tell
it.
Copilot, do this, that, or the other, and then it should use the master slide
Yes,
that
yes.
you've got up.
So I'm going to take the previous one that I did. So so you'll look here at the slide master and it's all blank, well, there is something here, but it's very bare minimum. We could try another one, but I actually want to go on. So, you could play around with, like that person said, you can start your own theme first and then do that. And it should keep it. It's not supposed to ever override your theme or your colors or anything like that. So, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You got all the
Let's get back
questions answered.
to, yeah. Oh, so I did want to show you also creating a presentation from a file. So let me go back and make another new file. Yeah. And so my understanding is that it has to be on SharePoint. So I'm going to create from file. And we actually we have a little, listserv about from PowerPoint MVPs. And we were talking about the fact that there's no, search browse thing here. And so you can't supposed to be able to type to search, but if it doesn't find it, what worked for me to get this one on top, which is the one I wanted to show you, was to go into SharePoint and open up the file and, change a letter and then save it. And then it came in at the top here as, a recent file. So here's this file. You have to press enter or click that.
For
And
those
so
of us who hate SharePoint, can you use Google Docs or just a plain old
no,
Microsoft Word
my
document?
only uncertainty is whether you could use OneDrive, but I'm not sure about that. It says SharePoint, like when you look at, some instructions, it says SharePoint. So, okay. So, here you go. Again, like you said, it's quick. I hate agenda slides, but there's an introduction and an agenda slide. I wonder if I could tell it to delete slide 2. Yeah, nope. So, okay. So, anyway, here we go. And, again, I don't like bullet points. I would probably change this to smart art, so I would do something like that. But, it's taking this was an interview that someone did of me about like how to end the conclusion. And they, so one of the things was, well, it depends. Is it an online sales presentation, or is it a keynote speech, or is it a small group sales presentation? I don't know who's selling there, but and examples of what not to do, and so the importance, anyway, it's kind of a little weird, but I mean, this is a good example of where the text there, it was like a script, and it's not appropriate for this, anyway, yeah, it's not appropriate, but whatever, they, still it's not bad. That's a good image for a keynote speech. That's online sales presentations, a good image, that kind of thing. So this is just kind of like blah stock stuff. And I can there are a lot of things I could do with this. So for example, I could change the background color if I don't like that color. So I could, make it like a really dark blue or something like that. Oh, it thinks it's a gradient for some weird reason.
There's a lot that you could do. I mean, if you're putting things together for your organization and you're constantly using the same thing, so you probably already have your own corporate or organizational templates set up.
Right.
And you've got the default set up for all the size of type and style of type and so forth. And then you could build your own portfolio of pictures that you've already got copyright control over.
So if you want to put your own pictures in, then you're going to have to add them, you're going to have to change them. So
Right.
if if I want, I'm going to right click and change picture, and I'm going to go to whatever, you would go to this device, and end up looking on your intranet, for wherever you have those images, I would go to stock images here and pick something and change that image. So yes, you could do that. Yeah, again, the important thing is that you can make changes in everything that you want, so I would probably do something like this. And then even get rid of these bullets as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
which adds so much more to it. So while you can do that coming back in, is there a way of telling Copilot that this is what you want it to do? That this is a style that you
no,
want?
yeah, no. So you're going to have to use PowerPoint's features, either start by, again, I'll start with something new. Let's try that. Okay, so here we go to design, and this is my custom template, which is the one that you saw me using my other things here.
Mm-hmm.
And so interestingly enough, it's not giving me the Copilot thing, but here. So create a presentation about, okay. And so somebody other customer service, okay, about avoiding avoiding arguments in customer service. Hold on a second here.
Got a cultural question here. It's in the Q&A. Let me just read it to you. How do you avoid bias in the results? The sales demo, for example, is using predominantly male-dominated images. Copilot is also managing or is manager gender-neutral language, i.e. to ensure results are inclusive. I think what goes on, Lorna, is these large language models, it's garbage in, garbage out. So if everything is being put into it as male dominated, you're going to get male dominated results. There are a lot of companies that are building their own large language models and curating very carefully the information that they're putting into it. And so that would be one way of controlling bias. Other than that, the only thing you can do is go in and change the pictures and change the language yourself if you're feeling that there's too much of a bias that's in it, regardless of race, culture, gender, whatever it is that you're looking for, and you're trying to neutralize it and make it acceptable to everyone in the organization.
I will say that Microsoft's images, that they do try really hard to have a wide variety of, types of people, whatever we want to call them. And so, you will see that, there are options to change the picture and usually to find something that you want. So this is what it did when I started with my own theme, okay? And then I put that information, strategies for avoiding arguments in customer service, tips for handling customer complaints professionally. So it went through it. Okay. So yeah, it's yeah, so you get I hope you're not doing customer service like that. But anyway, sometimes they're very fun. They just they don't.
Only if you're not on camera.
Yeah, really. But anyway, so in terms of my experience with it is more like, and this makes sense here because it's role playing, and you might do that in the office. It not so much the diversity thing, but just inappropriate pictures. Like I've been, laughing at some of the pictures. They're just, kind of irrelevant or silly or something. So, you're definitely going to be changing images, finding the images that you want. So, yeah.
It's like
anyway,
before last looked like the axe murderer,
yeah. But anyway, again, it did, this is completely new. Okay. We just created this new thing, and it's using my theme. Okay. So now my theme, let's see what it does with designer. Let's see. Yeah, so I haven't, there are themes that you can create that designer can use. There's a set of rules. You could just actually kind of Google that, and Microsoft has some rules about creating your own themes and templates that designer can use. And so I haven't done that, but you'll get designer suggestions when you do that. Let me see, try another slide here. Yeah. In fact, you can actually, I think this is probably gonna, there we go. Create professional slide layouts with designer. Anyway, I'm sort of going off topic here. So, okay. So let me just go back to my slides a little bit here and just go through some of the other topics here. We've been doing this wide-ranging thing, so we've covered a lot of this, but use Designer as well as PowerPoint's native features to improve the design. So change picture, right click and choose change picture, and resizing text, converting text to smart art, adding icons, and changing the slide master layout, fonts, and colors, which somebody mentioned. So definitely go into whether you have a theme, corporate theme or a government theme, or not. Either you start with that, but if you don't, you can make changes in the slide master that will affect the whole presentation. So all of this is things that you need to do. So ChatGPT, I think, is best for working deeply on the content. And so first of all, it's easier to see the flow of your content when you're working just with the text. And this is a suggestion that I've been making for years, is that when you're starting especially a kind of comprehensive presentation, to start in Word, to look at the text first and reorganize it there before you don't start immediately into slides. And ChatGPT remembers your previous prompts, and it's just better at editing and reorganizing and changing the style. So if I ask it to make it more shorter, or make it in a different, more conversational style, ChatGPT is really good at that, and Copilot is really not good at that. So you don't want to be struggling by being in the wrong tool.
So if you really go through your own source content, is what you're saying. So if you really clean that up and make it as good as you can to begin with, I mean, so there's some extra work in there, or you can just take the lazy way out, tell it to do something, and see what it comes up with, and then
Right.
edit it, right? I mean, so there are options here. I mean, if you're staring at the thing and it's a blank template and you can't get any place, then certainly asking it a question and letting it fill in the blanks for you, and then you'd make all the decisions.
Right. But that kind of back and forth is something that ChatGPT is really good at.
Yeah.
And like I said, Copilot isn't. But Copilot is pretty amazing at what it can create. So yeah,
I mean, if you really had a good content list to begin with, and you import that out of SharePoint and then tell it to
right,
work
either out of SharePoint or ChatGPT. Right. That's the whole thing. And you can just go into Word and then copy and paste stuff as well. I think there's some limit to the size. I don't know what that is. So this is something that I created in ChatGPT, 5 points for keeping a solo entrepreneur's online business secure. Okay, so here and this is what I got from ChatGPT. And so again, you've basically seen this before, because I've done something similar in that sense. But well, I can do it. I can do it here as well. And I just paste all that stuff in there and press this little thing here. Generate slides. So it organizes it first, kind of comes up with headings and the rest of the text. And then shows them to you like that, as it's creating them. I don't know why it thinks agenda slides are a good idea, but
somebody told it was.
yes, somebody did tell it was. You're right.
It didn't think it up on its own, I don't think.
Yeah, but no, but actually I don't see it now. It seems to have gone away. It has an outline. So anyway, this is in slide sorter view. Okay, so down here, keep it. Okay, so I can double click here. Yeah, I think I showed you this before already, but it has really nice, it's doing a really good job of creating nice formatted slides. I can go into Designer here and do something that I think would be a little nicer for the first slide, which would be a full slide image. So, I could do that for that. But yeah.
So could you give it then, Ellen, let's say that you did have a bunch of slides that you specifically wanted to use for this. Is there a way of telling it that, or is it you would have to manually incorporate those?
So there's no way, it's not going to be very good about adding slides. You can tell it to add a slide. So let's say I can say, can anybody think of anything else to add here? Supposedly you can tell it to add a slide. So let's see. Create a present. Actually, it's not even giving me that option here to add a slide, but I'll try it. Okay. And it will summarize. I don't, I haven't shown, one of the features I have not shown you is, so let's do that. So summarize this presentation. So the purpose of this, kind of like, what's the purpose of that? But the purpose of it is so that you could somebody sent you a presentation, then you're supposed to tell your team what the presentation was about. So you do this and then you put it in an email. I mean, that's the concept, that it will take the main ideas and then you can use that in some other place. So that's the purpose. Like, I never have a need for that, but I guess some people do. And then organize this presentation. There are some amazing things that it can do with Teams, because Teams is part of Microsoft. So you can present on Teams, you upload the presentation, and then you can ask it to summarize it, and then you can ask it to create an email in Outlook with a summary of it. So that's some of those things, those aren't my expertise because I focus on PowerPoint, but the integration is pretty amazing. So organize this
I think
presentation.
Microsoft calls that the modern office, Helen.
Yeah, well, it's also in the whole concept of, that Apple does as well, or Google does as well. They want to create their own universe, so it's asking me, do you want me to make changes? And so by doing that, you lose benefits if you don't use everything. And so they want that, it's to their benefit of doing that. So
What about
somehow
incorporating video into this? I mean, do you have to do that manually?
I think you have to, I've never seen it do that. I've never seen it do that, by itself. So I think you would have to do that manually, right? So here it added, it added an agenda slide. Oh, thank you. But it added a whole bunch of different slides. So it's longer now. Who knows, that kind of thing. I don't know why it thought, but like an agenda, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. It seems pretty repetitive. Yeah. Yeah, so things like that. As you saw in one of them, it added a little bit of animation, but that's another thing you could do, is add some animation, for example, but manually. I think they want to get there. I think they want, they would like to incorporate some video in some of these when it's useful. Like, I would love to see a video on the first slide. If it's just kind of to make it, out to catch people's attention. I don't like video that distracts from it. The video should show something, help show something of value, that teaches people, people understand it better because of the video, not to distract from not just to be kind of fancy. But, I would like to see that. And I just would like to see it as you saw, you know, be much more responsive to my suggestions, like add a slide, remove a slide, or take some text out of the slide and put it in the notes pane and change the picture. I think it will get there. I think what they are really focusing now on is people creating something from scratch, from either a document or from a description, and then coming up with something that people could use right away. And so it looks like it's just miles ahead of what it was 6 months ago or a year ago in terms of doing that.
Yeah, it really is remarkable what it can do. And so let me ask you a couple of questions, and I don't know how much more you have to present at this point, Ellen.
Not much. So
okay, all right, let me ask you the questions then. So we worked a lot for different FGDLA events on prompts to get things out of ChatGPT or out of these systems. Talk about that for a while. What sort of wording do you find the most useful?
So there's a lot out there about prompts and so on like that, but my experience is, especially if you're going to do training. So, who are the students? Why do they need this? Who are you? What's your role? And then what kind of tone do you want? So ChatGPT is very good at, making something casual or academic and, changing the language based on that. You can even put in some language that you've written and it will try to copy. That's actually a fun thing to do, is to kind of put some of your writing in and then put somebody else's writing in, and then, ask it to put it in your style. And one of the funniest things that people do is like say, okay, here's some text I wrote, put it in the style of, some movie star or some politician or something like that. That could be very funny.
So if you wanted it to be serious, you could tell it to be serious. But if you wanted it to be funny, could you tell it to include jokes?
Yes. ChatGPT actually is pretty good at jokes. So sometimes they're lame, of course, but it can do that. And some of the fun things to really see, get your creative juices flowing, is to tell it to write a story, a fiction story about something. So it does, it tries to do storytelling, like, tell a story about a customer service representative who, was confronted with an angry customer, and then, was able to resolve the situation. It will make up a story, like just make it up. And you can give it you could say male or female or, that kind of thing. Although sometimes it gets a little funny if you ask, it doesn't want to be sound prejudiced. So sometimes when you say that, it'll be a little, but anyway.
Yeah.
So
Russ, you want to
Sandy Wagner? But anyway, for teaching,
want to bring Sandy in?
Bring Sandy in.
Bring Sandy. She had a question. Sandy Wagner is with DLI. She's one of our FTDLA board members. She's done a lot of work in AI and a lot of work in prompts. So Sandy, what would you like to ask Ellen about prompts for working with PowerPoint based upon the types of things that you need to do?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about comments, and one thing I will say that, I've been doing trial and error a lot, because we all have to, because that's the only way you're going to build the language it understands, and then negative prompts, things like that. But, when you've got this embedded feature, I would think that if, we do, and I wrote we have a prompt engineering process, I think I may have presented on, and it really works so that you're refining your prompts. And I've played with some of these PowerPoint presentation, chatbots, and, the end goal is you really have to go in, and it's a really good kickstart. But you have to refine it to meet your need. And within PowerPoint, though, maybe some of that capability is compromised, but prompt engineering is really important, so that you're saying, well, can you add on to this information? Or like Carla suggested, we know the cognitive part of PowerPoint, and, shorter sentences, we don't want to read from the slides. They're talking points. So I think that would be a really important aspect to be able to follow this prompt engineering process, which really emulates instructional design models, the Eddy model, Dick and Carey, where you're constantly reviewing and revisiting, and then once you have what you want, then you move on. So I don't know within your experimentations if you found that some work better than others, because I just went in and added, did my add-ons in because we have accounts through the DoD. And there's an R2 Copilot, and then there's ChatGPT, and the designer is in there. So, but I haven't played around with them as much as you probably have. So do you find that one might be more responsive than the other?
Yes,
Refining
yes,
that?
yes. ChatGPT will be much, much better at that than Copilot. So that's my main point, is that when you are working with the content, do that in ChatGPT. So you
Right.
can tell it to I once had this had a client,
Mm.
I was writing a video script for a course that she wanted to teach. And I had it as a script. It was full
Right.
sentences. She says, no, I can't do that because it sounds like I'm reading. And I just went and put it into ChatGPT and said, turn it into bullet points. It's like, bam, it's turned into bullet points. And yes, I still had to go in and, make it even a little shorter or clear or anything like that. But you can't do that in Copilot at all. And so, again, the content, I would always work in ChatGPT. And that what you were talking about prompt engineering is this, two things, is this iterative process of coming up with a prompt, and if you don't like it, then saying, no, that's not what I meant, I might want you to do it this way, and then actually keeping some track of what worked for you so that you can use it next time. That's the other piece of prompt engineering, is trying to see what works. And so, for
Right.
learning, very often, like I said, who's the student, who's the teacher, what are they, why do they need this, what, and then, you put in, so you can do it two ways. When I did the example I just showed you of, like, whatever, 5 ways to, for a solo entrepreneur to keep their business secure, I just said, give me 5 ways. But
Right.
usually you're not going to do that. Usually what you're like, if you're the subject matter expert, right? Then what points you want to make. And so you can say, these are the 5 points I want to make, and then build on that kind of thing. And
Right.
or you can ask it, but then you can say, no, I need a section on this, I need a section on that. And
Right.
so it's so
Right.
flexible, and that is all
Exactly.
ChatGPT. You do all of that in ChatGPT, and then you can just, like I showed you, you can just copy and paste it into the Copilot window pane of whatever you want, and it'll make slides for you.
Right. No, I understand that. But I'm
Mhm.
saying I can do that in any chatbot. And, and I've been experimenting, like I
Yeah,
said, a
okay,
lot.
with other ones, yeah,
And
sure.
I'm thinking, and I don't know if it would work the same because it's embedded, but I think the point is the one step you cannot eliminate is the validation of the information. And as soon as,
Yes.
well, because we're teaching languages. So I create a list of higher level words, and I ask Copilot to write riddles for me because it raises the level of language. And before the students even see the words, I see if they know the words that relate to the riddle, and I prompt it that way. Words on, like this week we're talking about athlete privilege, and we've got all this vocab on sports, higher level. And then I'm able to build on the vocabulary I provide and then more, but it does a great job for me. And I do validate. I also ask for Russian translations because it's a translation interpretation mission, and the teachers validate it. It's wonderful, but it's not wonderful in all languages. That's where we're still
Okay.
doing. But so I think, you know, that idea is you need to refine everything, validate it, and you get to have the final say. And the only way you get there is to keep refining those prompts.
So you
So,
said you went into Copilot and asked it to write a riddle?
oh my God, I should send you that. Yeah, the only thing that happens with Copilot, because we need enhanced security, it does not save the each time you have a chat. If you use the
Okay.
regular Copilot, and it's not through, like if I go home and work on my home computer, then it'll save all my chats. And like you said, I love because I can share them with people and see my results. So, but yeah, if you like get some really difficult words and then just say, please create a riddle and I'm trying to, I did it for 2 units and then, you know, I vary, but the riddles were amazing and they were culturally embedded. They were at a high level and they
Good,
got
good,
them
good.
to think critically. You know, you have, and you know, it's been a savior for me, especially with the vocabulary. I mean, I could make riddles, but not like they can that quickly.
Right, 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 right.
Um,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, so
I don't get that. So I do want to explain that, you know, there's Copilot outside of PowerPoint as well. So Bing has Copilot and it's going to be, you know, that kind of thing. I don't understand whether if it ever did a riddle.
we'll try it.
Yeah, I'm trying it.
No, and you know, as we move forward, and this is one thing, so what you're talking about is so important. I appreciate it. Is what we're coming at because we're, you know, we're implementing cybersecurity policy and not saying you can't do this. I don't want to say no, don't do this, but we're training teachers and students because there's crossover in the types of ways they will use this, and we're curating ways that meet a language training need that are beneficial, do not violate copyright, you know, things like that, and responsible usage, so that now we're curating a lot of these activities that really could go into any field. So I
I'm
think as we move forward, all that's going to be really important because now people can find those uses. And as far as copyright goes, that was my question. I really stress that if you're going to have any chatbot create anything, at least say created by in the chatbot, and then I think you're covered because at least they know it's not your original work. But that's another issue. So we don't need to.
yeah, right. I mean, a copyright is definitely, and you can cite ChatGPT.
Yes.
You can ask it to, could you please give me a citation for
Yep.
this, and it will give you the
Yep.
citation.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's, yeah, definitely something.
Yeah. But
Anyway,
try doing riddles. Just
it didn't work.
no. Put in create a riddle for the following word terms. It's like it's a
Okay.
really good vocabulary building exercise.
Let me insert here that
Yeah.
if it gives you a citation, make sure you check that the citation actually exists,
Yeah.
because it's been known to hallucinate, and if it doesn't know the answer, it makes up one. It's like a 6-year-old.
Russ, stop laughing. Yeah, but Ellen, I think that's where, so I ask it for a table with the terms that I want, a definition in a Russian translation. Then I say, please create a riddle for, and I'll pick like 5 of the words. Did it do it? It's all how you prompt it.
Yeah. I think that you're doing something so advanced that it thinks this woman wants some really good stuff
Well,
because she's
no, I
asking me
did it
something
in
hard, and it's
Copilot.
not paying any attention to me at
Oh
all.
God, I should send it to you. No, but yeah, and that's why I'm saying maybe the capabilities are limited when they're embedded in another program, and I don't know the answer to that. But
Yeah, I don't think I'm definitely not getting this. It's talking about riddles rather
well,
than.
can you type in create a riddle for the word athlete?
Okay. My whole computer's going to crash. I have so
Oh
many.
no, don't do that.
Create a riddle.
For the word athlete.
Create a riddle for the word
Athlete.
athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just says no.
You know what? Maybe because you asked it. Maybe because you're asking it to create slides. So yeah, you may just need to go out of the program. That's
Yeah,
right.
I just think that in PowerPoint that's not going to
Right. Yeah.
going to work.
Right. So we do have limitations, which is fine.
Yes,
You know, I
yeah,
think no program can meet all our needs, and that's what you have to stress too, that if you're
right,
going to use it, you're limited, it'll create those slides, but now you can go in, you've got your format and you can tweak anything you want. I think that's the lesson there.
right. I think for Copilot in PowerPoint, again, my point is that doesn't do well creating content at all.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, so you just either have to give it the content by just copying and pasting or giving it a file, and it will do it if you give it like a specific thing, like, you know, what are 5, you know, here, you know, I said the topic was 5 security messages for solo entrepreneurs online businesses. So something simple like that, it will come
Right.
up with content. But anything more complicated than that, you really need to do it outside of PowerPoint and then bring it in.
Right.
And it will do a pretty amazing job of making it look good. And
Yep.
remember that you have Designer, and remember that you just have PowerPoint's tools, you know, that you need to know well enough to, you know, like besides
Right.
Designer, you're using the the slide master view and so on like that. So all of those things together is what's going to get you a presentation. You know, and obviously if I were to go in and try to like find these images from scratch, it would take me hours, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so you know, I can maybe change a few of them if I want, and you know, get rid of some things here, you know, whatever that
Right.
seem to not make sense. But having a start like this that's so good is fantastic. So
It is. Well, can I ask you a quick question with Designer? And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. Well, I've gone in and, that's the first thing that, popped up when, all this AI started being embedded. Some slides will not offer you an alternate design, and I
yes,
tried to
that's
find a
right.
commonality, whereas maybe if you have other images and text, then it has something to work with. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So do you mean that it will do it for some slides in a presentation for not, but not for others?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so there's another situation also where which I saw when I used my own theme, and Designer just doesn't work because that theme isn't set up to work with Designer. So there's some rules about that. Um, so there is a limitation on the number of images you can include, and so it just will fail if you have like I think six or maybe more than four, more than six images. I know it'll fail with that.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe a lot of objects on it, I think is my experience.
Okay, that's
Um,
helpful. Thank you.
yeah, okay.
You're
Thank you.
not sharing your
I
screen,
know, I'm kind of
Ellen.
done.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kinda
I
done.
saw you typing. I just wanted to make sure you didn't think that
I,
we were seeing what you were
I'm
doing.
putting in some information to put in the chat, so hold on.
Okay.
And I am supposed to show the last slide, so let me share my screen and share again. Here, I know you hear me, you hear me, my secret.
Oh,
This is the last slide, but
yes.
I did want to put a couple of things in there. So I had a slide with a kind of crazy YouTube video, but YouTube video link, but I wanted to put that in the chat. So let me find that here. Um, it it's by a teacher, and it's like using ChatGPT with PowerPoint for teachers. And so some of it's very advanced, like using ChatGPT to write VBA code. VBA is one of the languages that Microsoft Office accepts. And so it will write VBA code. And so it's like, and some other software that she uses to create quizzes, things that are relevant to online training. So I thought that would be, I was doing some research. I thought that would be useful for you. And I wanted to put my name and my email address in there and let you know that if you want, if you're interested in some training, I'm here. I'd be happy to do something on almost any topic around PowerPoint. So,
Ellen has just done so many wonderful things. I've seen her on other webinars and seminars, and I learned so much from her and started learning about it. I didn't know anything about Copilot to begin with, and so finally found it. And I just wanted to mention, I always work on Macs, and we didn't have Copilot, but it is now available. And so you can just download it, put it on your screen. It'll work within PowerPoint. It'll work within Word. I'm thinking about doing a new book on distance education. And so I told it, I want to do a new book on distance education. And I kept modifying the prompts and adding to it. I ended up with this 4-page, very long series of chapters with what should be in each chapter. And I kept telling it, add AI here, add technology there. And so I'm going to, run this through a publisher. Anybody want to join me? I'll be happy to edit it, and you all can have a place to publish. So it's 2 o'clock. I think we're at our closing hour. Ellen, thank you so much for such an informative and a wonderful webinar. It's been so much fun to work with you on this, and we hope we will come back again, and you'll come back and visit us again as
Sure.
Copilot learns and grows. You'll help us
Yeah,
grow with it.
yeah, happy to do that. Yeah, this has been fun. Thank
It
all
has
of you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank all of you for being a great audience as well.
Thank you, Helen.
So next week, we've got the webinar on the 24th, which is about measuring and demonstrating the return on investment, the ROI of government training programs. And that's a precursor to the DevLearn. So FGDLA is going to be heavily involved with that. Yeah, there it is.
By the way, you said the 24th, but it says 25th.
I meant the 25th. It is the 25th.
Yeah, it's the 25th.
Wednesday, the 25th, my mistake. I'm dyslexic with numbers, so, give me a pass on that one.
No,
So-
it's the harvest moon. You're just.